Yeah.
What's up, motherfuckers? This is Marc from Nicaragua with Marc. I have 3 YouTube channels. I apologize. Who are you?
I'm Kasha.
Jordan.
And where are you from?
Canada, Toronto.
Okay, so I met these guys at the Surf Ranch. I met them in the Surf Ranch in San Juan. So y'all live in San Juan.
Yes.
And they used to manage a bar somewhere in Nicaragua. And I own the 2 bars in one in Leon and one in Esteli. So I want to just talk about why Nicaragua? How long you been here? What do you think so far? Just everything. The bar, how is it running a bar? Is it a tourist-driven bar? Just everything. So where are you from in Canada?
Toronto.
Both of you?
Yeah.
How old are you?
33.
How old are you?
32.
Any kids?
No.
Nope.
Just her.
Okay,
The dog.
sweet.
The dog.
Yeah, there's a dog over there.
The dog who we found in Mexico.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, on the side of the road.
Because we drove down here, right? We drove from Canada
Toronto.
all the way here.
Y'all are fucking crazy. So the only other person, I had a Canadian friend who drove his Toyota Corolla from Canada to here.
Made it down
and then
here?
we made it to Panama and back. So anyway, so you found this dog in Mexico.
Yeah.
She was a puppy. We picked her up, and then the first
On the
2
side of
months
the
of her
road.
life, she lived in a car. So
Because we were on a road trip.
yeah.
And why Nicaragua? How long have you been here this time?
Since January.
January, yeah.
And why?
We visited here after I met her in Toronto. She used to travel she's been to Belize and Costa Rica, and the farthest I've ever been was the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So then we went on a trip, and I always go to all-inclusive trips. That's how I was with all my friends and everything.
Yeah.
So the first trip I ever.
Canadians. Wow.
I'm the opposite. No, I'm the
she was
adventure
the opposite.
traveler.
So then I'm like, okay, so I'll try a trip like what she does, and I'm like, okay, well you plan everything because I don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So then we flew into
Liberia.
and then we flew, and then we came across
Peñas Blancas.
So I've never been on a trip like this before, and then first thing
But when was this? January?
2000. No, this is 2014.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The first time we visited, and I mean that's when we crossed Peñas Blancas when there was absolutely no signs, no direction, nothing.
Yeah.
Where do you go to get your entry stamp? I don't know. You just got to walk around and ask people where to go to get
You
your
speak Spanish?
No, at that point, no. Now, just a little bit.
like enough to get by.
Definitely.
Okay.
But next thing you know, so I'm used to all-inclusive trips, like getting pampered on all these nice resorts. And next thing I know, I'm in Liberia, and she's sticking me on these chicken buses, and I'm like, it's like full. And
So you had no idea what you were
No, I had no idea. I thought we were staying in I know a hostel here and there, but I thought we'd stay in nice hotels here and there.
We did. We stayed at the Surf Ranch.
Yeah, the Surf Ranch. That was our
Okay.
first time. And then, next thing you know, they're cramming me on this chicken bus, and I'm sitting on a bag of rice, and the driver's shifting between my legs. The whole bus was full.
They're taking our bags,
I look at her,
throwing them on the roof.
I remember I look over and I'm like, what is happening? Where are you
am
taking
I?
me? You know what I mean? But other than that, we did the trip, and then I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. And then she
But
came
you all
back.
spent the time in San Juan the first time.
San Juan, and
we went up to Popoyo.
Popoyo, we were there for a couple weeks. Originally, I wanted to go into Popoyo, but now we're in San Juan. So.
Okay.
And then she came back one more time with my mom, and then I came back another time, and then
That's when we
flew
went
back.
to Corn. Little Corn.
Yeah.
Little Corn is awesome.
I've never been there.
No.
I'm from a fucking island and I come
Oh.
to Nicaragua to go to some other
Honestly,
island.
it doesn't feel like it's Nicaragua.
No.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
feel
what
like
I-
Nicaragua at all. I mean, it's beautiful there. I would have loved to settle on Little Corn, but
But the
the
problem
waters
is
are rising.
It's rising, yeah.
The beach is shrinking. The island is crumbling.
So
but
then
it's very beautiful.
the last time we flew back home, and I said, okay, that's it. Next time we go down there is for good. And then a year later, the real estate market in Toronto was so good, so I sold my assets and we packed up the car and drove down.
Shit.
We pulled one of those pop-up campers the whole way, man.
Yeah.
You know those you've unfolded the campers.
Yeah.
And
A
you
trailer that's like a tent
Yeah, a
that
trailer.
pops up.
Oh my god.
That was intense, man.
Where is it?
We
Oh, I
sold
sold
it.
it when we got down here.
We sold it and bought a moto instead.
Motorcycle, yeah.
So you basically sold everything in Canada and moved to Nicaragua.
See.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you've been doing here is, well, you were managing this bar, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's owned by one of your friends.
Correct.
How is that? Were you all in that business before?
No,
I
no,
was.
not me.
I've run bars back home in Toronto and bar managers, kitchen managers. So like, I knew what to expect from my point of view from back home. You know, so needless to say, like it helped me a little bit, but nothing compared to what it.
Because he owns a bar, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
No, I've never worked at a bar before. I was a hostess, so I mean,
Right.
nobody says that doesn't count usually.
So first
definitely
she was
interesting.
doing it by herself because I was still at home for business. I had a couple
weeks.
things to take care of still. And and then so I was trying to manage her over the phone and emails and Skype and everything like that. So I'm trying to pass my knowledge on to her, but needless to know,
And I'm like,
at the same time,
when will you be here?
my information to her, it doesn't really mean anything down here because it's completely different.
Right.
So then it's like it's an endless circle of.
So what is different?
Everything.
Well, I mean, not like so. The main thing I was really debating on whether or not, because that's not what I want to do down here. We were just helping out a friend, and that's fine, right? Because I came down here to do less work,
Yeah.
and running a bar down here is more work
For a little bit of money.
for a little. Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the main problems were finding employees, like trustworthy employees, and then the rules behind hiring employees and
Legally.
like all
The
the
laws.
legalities. So
That was the most challenging aspect.
to know
was
the rules,
the
like all their
laws, the
Well,
labor
labor law.
labor laws,
labor
and all
laws, like
that.
liquidations and
Yeah.
rules, like because we didn't know any of that stuff, and we asked people as much as we could, but no one would ever give us like a solid answer.
Yeah.
Well, you'd hear that was close. You heard one thing from one person, and then three other things from three other people. So
We did eventually find a consulting group in San Juan that
yeah.
specializes with all
Really?
that stuff for like foreigners.
So they
and
helped us
stuff.
out with a lot of things that we couldn't get straight answers for. And so after that, then once we started getting to know the system, and then there was other problems like the people, like the customers, because I mean, so you have two types. You have the locals that come in, and then you have tourists that come in.
Right.
So
Mostly tourists.
Mostly tourists, but the problem is
90%.
because so sometimes you can go either two ways. Either it could go good and all the people enjoy coming to your bar and there's no problems with any other bars, or it's the other way, which is the most common way, is that other bars don't like what you're doing, or if they're a local bar, they don't like tourist bars. If you're tourist bars, they don't like local bars. And then so you kind of
There's a
start-
disconnect.
you start
There's a disconnect between tourist bars and local bars, and the local bars want some tourists in the bars, and vice versa. And then, I mean, some tourists actually prefer tourist bars because they can actually speak the language and get their order in correctly. Or if they have a complaint or something, then it's easier to deal with somebody that obviously speaks your language.
And what I found also as well is that a lot of the bar owner, like all the bar owners and stuff, like usually, like you think that everyone would help each other out kind of thing, but in the off season, it's like
It's an all or nothing.
People
free
start
for
like
all.
thinking for themselves, and then the
that's
camaraderie
just-
goes out the window.
That's just how life is everywhere.
Yeah.
Is when things,
So
quiet down,
everyone-
not everybody's making money, then everybody's out for themselves, right? Which is
fine,
how the world
but
works.
that's
But
how
how
it is.
bad is low season?
It can get pretty bad. I mean, like there was times where we were lucky when we got one table in that was 6 people.
Really? Wow.
And that was a good day when we had like a big group.
Okay.
I mean,
Stuff
and
like that.
The other thing is like, because if you pay you have to pay your employees no matter what. So if you don't make enough money that month, then the money comes out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And that's how I would imagine that's how a lot of these places fail. Is because they can't subsidize their low season with their high season, or they don't control their money enough so that.
And that's funny because when I was starting the bar, so my first bar was in Esteli, right? And I deliberately opened it in Esteli and targeted only locals because I don't have the discipline to save my money from high season.
Yeah.
to go through low season. I'm like, I would make like $2,000 on a Saturday and go to Colombia and blow all the money.
Yeah.
So like, I wouldn't fucking survive in San Juan and this tourist thing.
But that's the thing. But you have to, you know, and
Right,
especially
right.
your first couple of like years. You have to, because you don't have the street credibility or the marketing aspect to it yet. So I would imagine, and that's how a lot of
San
places.
Juan is tough. There's a lot of places that open up, and a year later they're closed.
That is
Just like, but it's just like back home in Toronto. Like it's over 70% of restaurants fail. Hey,
Messi,
Ezzy, come here.
the
You know,
Mexican
so-
in her.
you could be
She's
in the
Mexican.
video. Come on.
Hey, just don't knock over the camera.
Yeah. And so did you all have fun? You all had fun.
Yeah,
we had a
no,
lot
we
of
had.
fun.
It was a great experience. Honestly, I've never even worked at a restaurant, bar, managed, done nothing like that. So I mean, for me, it was great.
And like sometimes we'd have to work together, like in the night times if we didn't have enough staff, you know. So like help out, not work. But
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean. And that's when we had the most fun because you could relate to people that are like you have to work and you get to see them
You're
having
the
a
boss,
good time.
so
Yeah,
you know you can do both.
Yeah, exactly. So
You make sure that people have a good time.
But would you start a bar in Nicaragua?
No. Honestly,
No, I wouldn't,
it's not what I would do at all. No.
You personally, why? No, I mean I wouldn't fucking start another bar.
But like I said,
I agree with
Why?
you.
Why?
because I came down here to do less work. Like I
Yeah.
said,
Right.
like in just running a bar, even back home down here, like even it's still a bar. It's still going to be work. You still have to do your numbers, your balance sheets, your scheduling, your inventory.
But I think the margins here are too small.
Yeah.
Compared to
Well, see, back home, booze is where you make the money.
right here's
Down
food.
here, it's food.
Yeah.
Right? So like
and then
you
food
said,
is so much harder to manage. I think
that's what I'm saying because
Consistency.
and you got power outages, so like you don't ever want to stock up on too much stuff because it might go bad. You know what I
The
mean?
power goes out.
Power
right?
goes out, and you don't have a backup generator that can power all your fridges and freezers for 3 days. Like it's all those aspects that have to come into effect.
And then
It's a
go
lot of
ahead.
hard work.
And then what type of distribution? Like how do you get the beer company drops the alcohol?
Yeah,
off,
well, that's the other thing. That was the worst because
So,
there's
the-
no solidarity in the delivery schedules.
Vendors.
You know,
they
they-
just show up whenever.
They show up whenever, and then they get mad at you if you had to like go buy it from another person. They're like, no, you can only buy it from us. I'm like, well, you were supposed to be here 3 days ago.
Yeah.
I can't run a bar without beer. You know, they say, and then they say, okay, we'll be here Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then they show up on like a Saturday for a beer order or something. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
so consistency is another
Very
aspect.
difficult.
And I mean, the delivery times are all over the place. So, sure, okay, I can place a deliver from you. When is it going to be delivered? Wednesday, what time? Oh, I don't know. But we're closed on Wednesday. I'd like to get a delivery from you. Is that the only day you deliver? Yes. Okay, so what time? Oh, I don't know. The driver will call you in the morning. And is he going to call me when he's going to be there or when he's on his
No,
way or what?
they'll never call
and
anyways.
she says, "Oh, I don't know." So, I mean, it's hard to get consistency with your orders as well, right? I mean, so half the time we'd end up going and picking up stuff in, Managua,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
example, and doing our own runs. And that would take a day from our day off that we were supposed to not think about
Yeah.
the business.
And
But
what
I
about
mean, it was
what about the
great.
food? Where do y'all buy the food to prepare?
Well, like
in
some,
San Juan or here?
yeah,
in
like
Managua?
a lot of channels can be done through San Juan, like distribution services. But like I said, you have to have like a good enough rapport with them to get on a good. Like you can get chicken delivered, you can get cheese delivered, you can get anything delivered.
Right.
But the problem is finding that good routine.
Yeah.
So and we could never. And it's frustrating because you can never get on track.
That,
So you're always
but
playing catch up.
Our other concern was the fact that our Spanish wasn't as good as it should have been.
Well, I mean,
In
Right.
that industry. I mean, I did learn a lot of Spanish through working with the employees,
Right.
where they didn't speak much English, if any.
And then you notice that you learn more bar stuff in Spanish. Than like, right?
yeah, and then I did. I learned way more Spanish in the 2 weeks that I had the bar on my own than I did in the 2-3 months that I was here because I was forced.
Right,
all
right.
the time, and then all the vendors and distributors that come in for their orders, they're all Spanish speaking as well.
Right.
So you get a few English words here and there, but I mean, you're actually forced to learn the language. So that was a really, really positive aspect of being involved in that experience.
Okay, and what are y'all gonna do now?
So I like the
some
plan.
time
The
off.
plan. Yeah, it's vacation time.
Vacation
now.
time.
No, the plan was from the originally was to come down here and I just want to buy some land and either sit on it or
Develop
some property.
properties.
Like I don't really
Okay.
know. Like I gave myself 18 months since we came down here.
Right.
So when I said if I don't do anything in 18 months, then maybe I'll go back home, or I'll go. I like Ecuador. I want to go there and try there. But I mean, I really like Nika, like the people and the safety factor. I mean, everywhere it's got problems, but here I find at least you can anticipate most of them.
And I feel safe here.
Yeah,
I do for the most part as well.
I feel safe here. Like, I compare here safety to like Canada. I don't feel safe in the U.S. because everyone has fucking guns.
Yeah.
But I feel
I
safe
don't think
here.
many people feel safe in the U.S.
But I feel safe here. I feel as safe as I could feel here.
Yeah. Like I said, like down here you can anticipate, like, so like we've been living in San Juan enough now where we know where to not go, what not to do, kind of stuff, you know, and you can only learn that from being in a place and talking to people. But it's like back home in Toronto, like I don't go down certain streets at certain times.
Right.
So
I don't go down
that,
certain streets ever.
Yeah.
But you know what those streets are, right? Like down here, a lot of people get into trouble or get, you know, maybe the bad aspect of it is because they're not
partying
thinking
too hard and they don't like remember or something.
No, but they're not thinking. Like back home, you have a certain type of mentality. You're like, okay, I'm gonna be smart enough and I'm not gonna do this. Down here, it's a free for all. Oh, I'm on vacation. Oh, it's safe here. But no, you're not in, you know, a plastic bubble.
You're not in on a resort. You're not in a resort on all inclusive
right?
things. So
people's common sense goes out the window.
Right.
So you know how they say in Jamaica, like don't go off the resorts.
Right. Exactly.
You know, like there's no resorts here.
Yeah.
You are off the resort.
Yeah.
So people that, I mean, there's a lot of backpackers that have good sensibility and like ideas of what to do and what not to do, but then a lot of the times they come to party and then they just,
Right. So that's the thing. In San Juan is just a lot of parties, a lot of a lot of fucking drugs.
Yeah, we stay away from stuff like that.
Too crazy shit.
Yeah, no, we didn't come down here for that. We're not 20 anymore.
Right, but that's what I was about to say. A lot of backpackers are a lot younger than
Yeah,
than
I mean,
us, right?
some of them are like 16 years old. I'm like, what? Do your parents know what you're doing? I can't believe that I just said that.
Yeah, I met these three deaf and mute girls.
all three of them.
Yes, backpacking together.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't even write Spanish. I'm like, what the fuck?
How long ago was that? Was it within like months?
Yeah.
I think we saw them actually.
I don't know, but how do they communicate?
I don't know.
How do they get to where they
I
are?
mean, I communicate with them writing in English.
Yeah.
And they check online and stuff.
What do you mean they just point?
Yeah.
You know, that's how, because she knows Spanish way more than I do, and so I get by with hand gestures.
Right.
You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
And
God.
like I've become pretty good at them, so I'm just like, oh, this over there, and I'm just like, hey, this, and this.
Yeah.
That's all
then
he does.
it doesn't matter. They always say they understand anyways. Like, oh, entendido. And then I go see them the exact opposite of
Which I find that the people here are very nice and they're very helpful and they always are. They always want to help you, even if they can't.
Right.
So if you ask for directions, see, that way, but they might not even know. It's just kind of the way that stuff happens down here, and then you'll go that way, and then it'll be
And then
right.
someone else will be like, no, that way. Send you back.
Yeah, and then you do a couple loops, but I mean you're not in Kansas anymore, right?
It's never a dull moment, no, that's for sure. Like there's always something going on or something happening or someone doing
Anybody
something.
who came down here and didn't expect an adventure, I would say go back home because you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Every day's an adventure.
But that's another thing about running the bar is you got to see a lot of different tourists and locals in different situations.
Yeah.
So like we knew some locals that would they'd come in on their day off and they'd spend their money and you can see them in a different atmosphere. Like they bring their families and it's okay. You see them outside of what they normally do, which is good. And then you see different tourists from different parts of the world. Everyone's got their own story. I mean,
Yeah, it was really great to meet different people all the time.
yeah.
I mean, the only thing that kind of got tedious was,
Explaining our story.
when you meet someone and they're like, "Oh my God, you live here? Yeah, okay. So, how long?"
Yeah, the same
I mean,
fucking-
I feel like I should just have a little pamphlet to give out.
Yeah.
I started making up stories.
Yeah, that's I didn't make up stories, but my stories got a lot more condensed. So
I was traveling with this girl from New Zealand a few years ago, and she's like super blonde, curly hair, and like people are always asking us the same fucking stories. Where you're from? What you're doing? So we had two different stories. One, she saved me from slavery in Africa, and two, she's a lawyer in New Zealand. So we told people that she was my lawyer in a rape case, and she got me off the rape case, and we fell in love and started to travel the world.
Wait, you got raped or you?
No,
I
he was
raped
the
someone,
you raped
and she
somebody?
defended me.
Oh, okay.
And she got me off, and we fell in love.
And then traveled the world.
Sounds like a fucking.
Because it's just
movie.
boring to be like, fuck, stop asking me the same shit.
But I mean, that was my in for, every time people would ask me, oh, what are you doing here? I'd be like, oh, here's my card.
Ah, yeah, and then send them to the bar.
Yeah,
Send them to our website and see, the whole land development investment stuff that we actually came down. So that was an in.
Oh, so you all have a website that outlines your plans and stuff?
Yeah,
we haven't
it's
done-
bare. It's basic and it's
We haven't really
needs some
done too much
updating.
in a while, but now that we're off the
Yeah,
bar, now we
bar.
can concentrate back on the thing. So, because that ate up a lot of our time.
Yeah.
It
And then
was
even after work, you don't really want to go home and do
The work,
the other
yeah.
stuff.
You
You don't
because-
really want to go out to another bar because you've spent all day at a bar.
With drunk people. I'm
with
sure.
drunk people.
Right,
And then,
and I mean-
chances are there's always someone like, hey, what are you doing after this? Like, okay, come for a drink here. I'm like, no. I'm
And that's
just gonna
the
go
thing.
home.
It's
Yeah.
always let's go for a drink.
Yeah,
Let's go
yeah,
have a
yeah.
drink.
Do you all surf?
So I've been trying to get into it, but I can't. My board broke and I haven't fixed it yet. So that was like 3 months ago.
No.
So yes and no.
No, we
Okay.
didn't come down here for the surf.
Ah,
Well, I did.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I mean, it was a bonus.
Right.
But
we're not surfing.
actually, sometimes when people came in, if it was the bar was really slow and we had like one table come in, I would go to her. I'm like, okay, who do you want to be this time? I'd always go like, hey, I'm a retired pro tennis player. You know, like I hurt my knee, I blew up my knee, or something like that. And so I know what you're talking about, like the makeup
fake stories.
But then I'd have fun with them, and then I'd tell them like, no, I'm just kidding. You know. But,
Yeah, but I liked looking at people's faces
Yeah.
like, she saved him from what the fuck?
She rescued him from slavery.
yeah.
I mean, then they must like not even want to ask you any more
They
questions.
stop because they don't want to react. Be like, what the fuck?
They don't want to be in an awkward situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
pretty funny.
I guess so. Last question: would you recommend other Canadians to move to Nicaragua?
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
100%.
of course.
Why? It's safe.
It's safe.
Our
it's
dollar,
warm.
our dollar is going a long way down here.
It is warm.
Oh yeah, because it's November. It's like 2 days
It's-
before November right now.
Yeah, we
it's
just saw a post in some of
snowing
our friends from Canada. It's
in
like
Canada?
Toronto's getting the big first snowfall. I'm like, oh god.
It's snowing. I mean, it's always
sometimes we'll be dicks and we'll send them like we'll see their post and then
Oh.
we post a picture of us like on the beach, like this day.
Yeah.
I do that. I do
Send
that
it to
on
them?
Mondays usually when people are feeling down and depressed. I'm
Yeah.
like, look, here's a beautiful beach picture. This is
Yeah.
where you could be. Come and visit.
Yeah.
Look, here's cheap flights I found for you too.
So
Can't say
every-
no.
But it's also the atmosphere and people like, because I always said
Because
a
there are
lot
a lot
of
of Canadians
Canadians.
on there, right?
A lot
yeah,
of
there's a lot of
Canadians
Canadians.
here.
Yeah. Because I always said like
We
that's
know
the thing.
it's
But
good.
Canadians, we all have the exact same dream is
Yeah.
to move to the beach.
Right,
The
right.
problem is like no, everyone ever has. You ever talk to anyone in Canada? It's like what's your oh I'm gonna move to the beach, open a bar.
Yeah.
You know, like but no one ever does it because no one ever takes that plunge.
That's the
you know
thing
what I
is
mean?
most
The
people
risk.
are afraid. They're afraid to
Yeah.
take a chance, and the best way to take a chance is to take a couple months off and just
And
move
try
for
it.
a few months.
Yeah.
You don't need to move your whole life. Just come for an extended vacation. Figure out if this is a place for you, and then that's that. I mean, you'll fall in love with the people.
Yeah.
The weather's amazing. I mean, being close to the beach is awesome. Even me, I mean, I stay in the shade a lot.
Yeah, she hates.
Yeah.
She's a redhead, so she can't go in the sun for very long. She doesn't go in the ocean past her knees because of the animals. And I'm like,
Fish.
why do you want to live
Live
here?
by the beach.
Like, why do you want to live here? Like,
I love the beach.
yeah. Well, she doesn't like beans and rice. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't like. I'm like, what?
But you still love Nicaragua.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
Despite beans and rice being in absolutely almost
Everything.
everything, I do love Nicaragua. And I
So
wouldn't
any
change it.
Canadians watching this video, move to fucking Nicaragua.
Come on down.
There you go.
Get over here.
Anyway, we need to go. These guys need to head back to San Juan. Subscribe to my fucking channel. And if you don't subscribe, you're gonna lose your little finger. So just subscribe. Later.
Adios.